Carruthers, and today I have with me Deborah Arneson, clinical nutritionist. And the topic today is fat phobia. Deborah, can you tell us a little bit about the fat phobia that Americans are doing and what is the greatest problem that Americans have?
Well, they're gripped by fat phobia. I mean, I look at how many people are spending hundreds of dollars, like every month for fat-free items, which is totally unnecessary.
Right.
And the reason being is, everyone is so nervous about fat, but what they're not understanding is that there's fat and then there's fat. I mean, there are good fats, there are bad fats, and there are really ugly fats.
Well,
this here, right here, Karen, this little fat guy, can our cameraman get a little good shot of that glob of fat? That's 1 pound of body fat.
wow.
If you look at this is why Americans are so concerned, but realize something that people don't know. And it's this, that fat comes from many different places. It doesn't just come from fat.
Okay.
Eating too many calories can cause you to become fat, even if they're healthy foods.
Right.
Eating not enough calories causes your body to store fat,
Right.
even if they're healthy foods. Your body just goes into what we call that starvation mode, which is conversion of energy into fat stores because it's being starved.
Okay.
That's typical in most women.
Right.
You can also gain a lot of body fat storage by not working out.
Okay.
You can gain a lot of body fat storage by eating too many carbohydrates.
Okay.
So people eating carbohydrates, 9 times out of 10, that is the problem. Even if they're not eating enough or they're eating too much, they tend to eat way too many carbohydrates. Now, well what are carbohydrates?
Right. Well, 2 questions. I was going to say, well, what is it about carbohydrates that causes fat to store in the body? Is it the sugar that slows down the metabolism?
Well, it's a couple things. First of all, most carbohydrates are processed.
Okay.
So carbohydrates come in either a live form, like the good, the bad, the uglies again. The good would, of course, be our beans and our grains and our legumes, but more importantly, our fruits and vegetables. And they're what we call the simple sugared foods.
Okay.
And the simple sugared foods cause your body to create the art of metabolism. They have lots of live enzymes and vitamins and minerals. The starchier carbohydrates, like our legumes and rices and potatoes, tend to have longer sugar chains. They're more complex. So the longer the sugar chain is, the more you can store fat more readily. And then we have the really long sugar chain foods, which are our breads and our pastas, bananas, carrots. Even though they come from the fruit and vegetable category, they're high in sugar. And then we have the really long sugar chain foods, which are of course, our low-fat sugary treats. Our chips and our Fritos and Banditos and the low-fat Entenmann's and things like that. So,
but these are classified as fruits, vegetables, and carbohydrates. It seems like you're putting them all under the category of carbohydrates.
They are all carbohydrates.
Okay.
Fruits, vegetables, and starches are all carbohydrates, but they are different types of carbohydrates, just like there are different types of fats.
I see.
So you need to be careful. Some people, because they've abused carbohydrates so greatly by doing pastas and breads and bagels all the time and donuts, and low-fat snack items which are processed, have been putting into their body like absolutely no live nutrients, no enzymes, no vitamins, no minerals. And when you do that consistently for a long period of time, what will happen is the system begins to break down. The stomach doesn't receive enzymes, so it goes, oh, I can't digest very well. So that carbohydrate will sit in the gut and putrefy and ferment. And because it sits there for a long period of time and it's not creating energy, you're constantly craving more carbohydrates or more sugar.
Even though you're storing fat?
Sure.
Oh.
Because you're not using it for nourishment, you're not using it for energy.
Right.
The art of metabolism hasn't been tapped into, so that's why it's important, as we discussed in the last show last week, to have a balance of proteins to fats and carbohydrates. The clue, the one thing that Americans are missing here, Karen, is fat, or good oil in their diet.
Okay.
Saturated fat comes from animals and animal byproducts, or palm or coconut oil. So people who eat too much of those foods or too much butter, of course, are going to gain body fat, but what's missing is the unsaturated fatty acids.
I see, which come from plants.
Plants, fish, seeds, nuts, and their oils.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So people are I mean, do you eat seeds and nuts? I'm sure you do, because you're a vegetarian, right?
Yeah, I am vegetarian, but I am fat phobic.
Hallelujah, I admit it.
So no, I don't eat that many seeds and nuts.
Well, they're the key to actually helping your body burn fat. If you get raw seeds and nuts in the right quantities, now let's really be specific about that. If you get the right quantity of your good raw unprocessed oils, avocado, olives, seeds and nuts in your diet, it's actually almost like a tease. And the body goes, "Ooh, nice, I like that. That was fat. I needed some of that for metabolism.
Right.
And then your body, because it's not getting enough of those good unprocessed oils from you physically, will go into the fat storage tank, unlock the lock, pull out fat for energy. So to make your body go into the process of using fat for energy is very difficult. The body's very lazy.
Right.
It would much rather store fat than burn fat. So there's an art to doing that. You have to give it a little bit of a tease every time you eat with the right kind of unprocessed, unsaturated fatty acids.
I see. And how much fat is too much, and then how much is too little?
It would depend very much on your body size. That's where you would probably need a nutritionist or somebody who deals with diets, you know.
Is this height according to weight or just body structure?
It would be body fat percentage, weight, and physical activity. That would determine how much fat, protein, and carbohydrate you need every single day. So you could take, you and I, say we weigh the same thing, we're weighing in at, well, how much do you weigh now, Karen? 135 pounds or something, okay? Right. And we're the same height, but because you might have a leaner percentage of body fat, you know, you might be 22% and I'm 28%, you would need more oil or fat than I would because you have a faster metabolism.
Right.
And mine is slower. So if somebody has 35% body fat, even though they're really skinny looking and they're little, you know, you could grab them and go boing. With their fat, there's no muscle.
Right.
Then they would need less fat, protein, and carbohydrate every day.
Less fat, and they're a skinny person.
Well, there are skinny fat people.
Right, exactly.
So if someone's a skinny fat person, meaning that when you take their body fat, there's a lot of fat there, they're just kind of squishy.
Right.
Then that's somebody who obviously hasn't been eating enough protein and good essential fatty acids for a long time.
Okay, and how do you accept your clients to accept the idea of good essential fatty acids in their diet?
I tell them to trust me. So I go, just give me your body for 1 week, and if I can have your body for 1 week, and I'll show you how good you feel and how you actually start burning fat and losing weight and increasing muscle over the course of a week. So once people, I say, you know, if you gained a pound in a week, what is that going to do? The worst case scenario is if I'm wrong, which I'm not, if I'm wrong, then you will actually gain weight. What could you gain in a week? No more than if you binged for a weekend, you know, a pound or two.
Right.
So trust me and try it. So they do, and then they do it and they're like, So they see that eating, you know, 15 to 30 grams of oil a day helps them to lose fat and to build muscle and to feel more energy. And once they do that, then I've got them hooked.
Okay, I see.
So.
Okay. And then tell us again, what are the good, the bad, and the ugly fats?
The good, the bad, and the ugly?
Yeah.
Well, the good fats, Karen, would be our unprocessed raw oils. And that would come from seeds and plants. So things like pumpkin seed oil, grapefruit seed oil, your olive oil is a monounsaturated fat. I suggest people cook with that for the most part. But for raw eating without heating, always use the lighter oils like flaxseed, rice bran oil, safflower, sunflower, things like that.
And how do you eat those foods, or how do you use those foods?
Glug, glug, glug. No, I'm kidding. Just make dressings with them, or I have a combination oil that I love. It's by Arrowhead Mills. It's called Essential Balance, and it actually has pumpkin, sesame, flaxseed, rice bran oil, and safflower all mixed into one oil, and it's organic, and it's real nutty tasting. And I literally just pour it on top of my food after I heat it. I put it on my vegetables and my meats and my rices and things like that.
Okay.
So you could do that, and then you could also do, you know, raw seeds and raw nuts like almonds and pistachios and even cashews or a macadamia nut here or there. I mean, those are unprocessed, you know, good oils.
Right.
Avocado is marvelous. People are phobic about avocado because it's gotten such a bad rap, and avocado is marvelous.
Right, and that's a vegetable?
It's considered a fat.
Right, just strictly a fat.
It's fat because
but it's a plant source fat.
It is. It has a seed in it.
Right, exactly.
So it is a plant source fat. But avocado is considered a fat food because it is primarily fat. So when you look at foods in the world of nutrition, they're qualified as either a protein, a fat, or a carbohydrate, depending on the greatest constituent in that food.
Right. Okay.
And then fish. Cold water fish are great. Those are unprocessed oils again. You know, cold water fish such as salmon, tuna, mackerel, herring, haddock, halibut, sea bass, shark,
Oh.
Those are cold water fish, and they're very healthy for you.
Okay.
And they're really high in EPA oils. Now, unless you're pregnant or lactating,
Mm-hmm.
then you need to be a little bit more careful of
The
cold
fish.
water fish, especially
Right.
fish in general.
Right.
You shouldn't be doing river, Pacific, or lake fish at all if you're
Oh.
pregnant or lactating.
I
They're too
see.
toxic, folks.
Yeah.
So you don't want to, you don't want to take those fish in. The reason the cold water fish are better is
Right.
because they're high in that body fat again.
The
They have
essential fatty acids?
right, the
Okay.
EPA oils.
Okay.
And those oils are what we call neutralizers for toxins and mercury and PCBs that
those
we
your-
dump into our water.
Are those the omega-3
Mm-hmm.
oils?
Exactly.
Okay.
Very good. How'd you get that? She's a nutritionist too.
And what do these oils provide for the cells?
Oh, the oils are marvelous for the cells. Your cells, of which we have billions of them, run around in the body, hopefully, and they're little dynamic, little like shooting stars, and they have like a protein coat around them, and that protein coat is enhanced and made stable and dynamic and kind of like a coat of armor when you have plenty of essential fatty acids.
But doesn't the protein come from the protein, or it comes from the
Well,
oil?
there's a combination of protein and oils. The essential fatty acids create this protein coat.
I see.
It's like a little coat of armor. It's like a raincoat around the protein. And it keeps out the bad guys and lets in the good guys. So if your cells become easily oxidized or, subjected to carbon monoxide, which we breathe in our air, and different factors which we're exposed to environmentally,
Okay.
then the cells can actually die off. They burn up. And these essential fatty acids will help to stabilize the cells, let in the good nutrients, and create the process known as metabolism.
I
So they also help to burn fat, create energy. You see a lot of women with premenstrural problems and with cracked, brittle nails, dry, flaky skin. Chronic fatigue is very closely associated to hypothyroid, which is related to low essential fatty acids too. You see people with lusterless hair, doesn't have any swing body or shine to it.
Right, brittle.
Those are,
dry.
those are
Right.
people who are essential fatty acid deficient. I'll tell
Right.
you a great story.
What's that?
There was a friend of mine that I hadn't seen in a long, long time, like 20-odd years, and he had really bad kind of eczema on his body, and his feet were all kind of cracked on the bottom. And I said, oh, you got to start taking this oil. This would be great. So he started taking the oil last fall.
Okay.
His feet are like a little, baby's butt, he told me. He said they're really, really soft and
Soft,
cushy
right.
now. And it took like 6 months for the essential fatty acid to build up in the system
Okay.
and to work on his skin. So when your skin shows a deficiency, Karen, that's when you know you've had the deficiency for a very long period of time.
Right.
If you have
Over a
dryness
course
or
of time.
flakiness. So the skin is the last place to really manifest the symptom. It's been going on interstitially or internally for quite some time.
Okay, and then it comes on out through the skin.
Right.
Right. So how many grams do you suggest a day of essential fatty acids where you have the fats and the oils? You suggest servings from both groups?
Right. We
Okay.
suggest that people do both. Well, it's kind of interesting. I mean, you need to, again, calculate. Like, let's say you're pregnant and you're weighing what? About what? Do you want to share?
155.
Okay, 155, and you're exercising how many days a week?
Oh, about 2 to 3.
2 to 3 days a
Right.
week. So right now, because you're pregnant, your needs for both protein, carbs, and fats or oils have gone up. Now remember, oils are unsaturated and fats are saturated.
Okay, so
Okay.
oils come from the plant source?
Plants, fish, seeds, and nuts, right?
And the fats come from the lean meats?
Saturated, yeah. Fats are
Okay.
found in chicken and turkey.
Right, exactly.
So Americans are sitting around eating turkey and chicken 6 days or 7 days a week, and they're like, "Bah." I'm feeling a little porky.
Yeah.
But the problem is, if you eat saturated fat all the time, is your primary, nutrient source. You're not going to have the availability of those essential fatty acids in the diet because they just won't be options. People just won't go for them. So if you're eating chicken, you're not going to put, a cedar nut in your mouth
Right.
for the most part because chicken's filling.
Right.
So you need to balance it. Your question was how much. I tell people to do 2/3 of their daily diet or their weekly agenda from unsaturated sources and 1/3 from saturated.
Okay. Saturated, why less?
Well, the reason being that it's not essentially necessary for the body. I mean, the body, unless you happen to be a marathon runner, you don't need saturated fat.
Okay.
You need unsaturated fatty acids. So it's very important to do fish like 4 days a week and to make sure that you get raw seeds, nuts, avocado,
Right.
Olives, things like that every single day.
Every day.
Every day. Look
How
at
many
Karen.
servings
No,
are there?
she's starting to squirm when I just say it.